What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 111 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Yesterday, I talked about the Roy Thomas Gilkane adaptation of Richard Wagner's Ring opera. Today, I want to talk about another adaptation of that opera. This is The Ring of Nibelung by P. Craig Russell. And this is a very excellent book. If you are a huge fan of mythology and mythological stories, or like I mentioned in yesterday's video, if you like stories that are influenced by this opera, like The Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, then you definitely need to check out this particular adaptation of the Ring opera. This is, in my opinion, superior to the Roy Thomas Gilkane version of that story, because it does the one thing that I said that story should have done. It's quite a bit longer. The Roy Thomas Gilkane version was only 4 issues long, and it just clocked in at around 100 pages. This particular tome is about 14 issues long, and it is around 400 pages long. It's quite a bit longer than the other one, and it is able to do what I wish that other story could have done. It slows down a little bit. It lets us get to know all of these characters. It actually solves a few character problems that I have with the main story, which I first became familiar with through this prose version that I read in college. It actually solves some character motivation problems that I had with that story that are also inherent in that story, and so they were present in the Roy Thomas Gilkane version. Because it is allowed to slow down and handle the story at the pace that it deserves, it's able to solve a few of those problems in a way that is very creative, and in my opinion, it helps the story. I also really love P. Craig Russell's artwork. He is a severely underrated artist. I've seen his work in a few different places. He did a Doctor Strange standalone graphic novel back in the 80s. He also did some work on Killraven, which is something that's available in the Essential Killraven book that I talked about earlier this year. He did some art in that series. I don't remember if it was a standalone graphic novel or if it was in the actual series, but his art is exquisite. It is very detailed, but at the same time, there's a little bit of a cartoonish feel to it, and I'm a big fan of cartoons, so I do not mean that as an insult. His work, it's like a combination of a cartoon that you'd see on Cartoon Network and an engraved painting or something like that. Something that would take you a really long time to do, or any artist a really long time to do, and then a cartoon where it's very minimalist. It's a weird combination of those two things. That's kind of what you could expect from the interior of this book. Here's another shot of it that I'll give you a better look at on the cover. That's his work. His work is very good, and I was looking at the front page where it kind of tells what issues are collected here. Some of this came from the early 2000s, 2000, 2001, and then some of it came from much later, 2014. So I'm not sure if he was just working on all of it during that time, or if this book was actually printed in 2014. I'm not sure, but this is, in my opinion, the best adaptation of Wagner's Ring saga. Now, obviously, I don't speak German. I don't know anything about the opera other than the basic plot that I've seen from these various adaptations of the story. So I haven't seen the opera itself, which I think clocks in at like 9 hours long. It's a really long thing. So I don't know how good or bad the opera itself is, but of all of the adaptations of that story that I have experienced, this one is my favorite one. I think that P. Craig Russell's artwork is very good. In my opinion, I like it better than Gilkane's art. Of course, that's going to be a little bit more subjective. You can look at Kane's work and you can look at Craig Russell's work, and I think they are both very good artists, and they both have strengths and weaknesses that they are able to work with and overcome. But personally, I like P. Craig Russell's work better, and I also just like this adaptation of the story better. This is one that I could definitely see myself rereading many times, and if you are a fan of just the visual aesthetic of how a book looks, this is a hardcover. It looks really nice on your bookshelf. That's something that matters to some people. Doesn't matter as much to me, but this is a book that I do not recommend, that I definitely recommend. Sorry, I do not regret owning it. That's what I was trying to say. I definitely recommend this book. Highly recommend it. If you are a fan of this story, or if you've never seen or read this story before, I recommend this to longtime fans of the story and newcomers. I think that you will definitely enjoy it. It is well worth your time, no matter who you are. So those are my brief thoughts on this book. I really like this story. Definitely, if you are interested in it, go and get it right now. Read it, reread it, enjoy it, do your own video review of it. It's awesome. So those are my thoughts on this particular adaptation of The Ring of Nibelung. I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.